All right, friends, this is going to be a great one. So, listen, I am not an academic. As a matter of fact, I'm not that educated, but I got my way into university when I was like 40 years old. Well, 30, and then I dropped out really quick because I knew university's not for me. And then I had to go back to get some upgrading so that I could be the big time guy that I am right now, so I could have a book, a piece of paper, put a couple papers on the wall. God bless this world. Why do we need to get these papers just so that people think we're smart? Hey, today we're going to get into a big interview on the big podcaster. I interviewed the one and only Francis Widdowson and Jim McMurtry, because I still have a hard time pronouncing both of their names. Anyways, listen, this is going to be just a talk about what happened this past Tuesday when we had Francis Widdowson went to the University of Victoria to have just conversations. She's just walked onto the campus with the billboard thing on her chest and her back, and she just wanted to have open dialogue conversation with kids. And we were turned away by 5 cops, and then she was arrested. They were escorting her off, and they were like, "We're going to escort you off the property." She's like, "No, arrest me." Like the boss, the Guglielmi's, she's an amazing woman, let me tell you. Amazing woman. Anyways, they walked her off. They put her in the car. Poof, off she goes. Next thing you know, smoke bombs come flying at me, flying at Tim Thielmann, who's like the big boss of 1BC, the political party. And I turn around to videotape the guy that did it, and lo and behold, it's Logan Staats. He's like this Grammy, Juno Award winning big guy well, he's not that big because he's definitely not as big as me, but he went after me, and that was a mistake. Anyways, we're going to get into it. We're going to have lots of clips about Jim McMurtry. He actually, his teacher, his professor, was the one and only Mark Carney's father. That's it. The Prime Minister's father was Jim McMurtry's his teacher in university. Widdowson, she's going to talk about, graduating at UVic in 1992 and what it was like then and what it's like now. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened to the BC legislature this week. It's been a crazy week, but this is going to be specifically around what it is that Francis is trying to do. She's just trying to get kids to open up their ears. I've watched over the past 6 years kids in school be told things that are someone's truth somewhere. It was only a couple of days or a couple of weeks after that this reconciliation day thing that happened, this national holiday in Canada happened, just a week or two after they told everyone in Canada 9 months after everyone was locked down that there was 215 bodies. The Kamloops school has actually now stated they can't say that. They can't say that. But the schools in the elementary schools from K to 12, the colleges, okay, the universities, this is what they're all teaching. And UVic's supposed to be the worst. I don't know, friends, but let's get into this. You know what? All the power to Francis. She's trying to do something. I support her just as I support my friends that are Aboriginal, that are from British Columbia, that have their own stories, their own truths from what they heard from their fathers, their mothers, their grandfathers. I have extremely close friends dear to me that are Aboriginal across, BC, Washington State, Oregon, Montana, Alberta, Saskatchewan. I've got some Aboriginal friends back in Ottawa. I've gotten some mail, some texts from some people, some not nice ones, but this funny. I'll end on this and then we'll get into this video. Logan Staats. So this guy assaulted me. It's been on like 15 different cameras, 15 different angles. The lawyers and all that stuff, they all got all that information. But this guy had the audacity to go onto Facebook and post, like, he clipped little pictures. He clipped pictures like of the video that he had. And he puts 1, 2, 3 pictures together and it looks like I'm knocking them out. Bam. Pow, smash. I was saying smash. And you know what's funny is I went on, someone sent me his Facebook, so I go onto his Facebook, and boom, the first comment is a buddy of mine I've known for, I was 18 years old, so I'm in my mid 50s. Baby, that's 35 years. I've known this guy for 35 years. I've coached his kids. I'm really close with him. I've known so many people. Anyways, he's like, "What are you doing, bro? Like, I saw the video. Like, come on, bro. Like, why are you lying? Why are you clipping this shit? Let's see the video." Anyways, my friends, whole bunch of truths, whole bunch of lies. Don't know what to believe anymore. All I know is that I'm a British Columbian, and I love British Columbia. And if you were born in British Columbia, or if you moved here before 2019 because you wanted to become British Columbian or Canadian, I love you. You're in my heart. You're in my books. You're on my calendar. And without further ado, let's get into this.
My name is Francis Widdowson. I'm a professor. I was wrongly terminated from Mount Royal University in 2021, and my case is being appealed to the Labor Relations Board in February 6th. I was at University of Victoria. I got my master's degree there in 1992, and I am trying to restore all universities in Canada to becoming academic spaces again, where you can openly discuss ideas and weigh the evidence on the basis of what those ideas are about. And in terms of 1BC, I'm unaligned with them. I admire greatly Dallas Brody, Tara Armstrong, and Tim Thielmann for their courage and their ability to state what they think is true. But I'm an old lefty. I'm used to be involved with the NDP. And because 1BC is they're the only politicians that are doing that, I find myself, interacting with them with respect to this issue.
You're amazing.
But who I am,
Yes.
I'm a guy that was teaching one day, and because I do have a background, I had the Prime Minister's father, Robert Carney, was my thesis supervisor.
How are you
I
attached to 1BC?
actually, when they say they went to me,
They came
when
to you.
yeah, they came to me because I ended up realizing that I had two choices, and one of them was to try and find a way back into the classroom by taking a knee and completely showing myself to have been an errant teacher by telling kids established facts and not the very false narrative, one of
Yes.
genocide that they like to spew. But I met a very wonderful lady early on in my saga, and you're looking at her on the screen. And Francis said, far better to fight, tie them up in their processes, and don't sign anything, and essentially don't give an inch. And I ended up building up a Twitter following, an X following, on that basis that I'm fighting my employer, my union, my regulatory body, my government. I'm fighting absolutely anybody at any time, because I think it's absolutely essential that we present past honestly and fairly to young people, to not just university, but of any age. Recently had an incident where my 3-year-old grandson was at
Yes.
daycare, was being told that about residential schools and about kids being kidnapped from their parents and never seen again, and had their hair cut and so forth. So, this, as
It's a
Francis
shame.
has said, these ghost stories, they lingered still years later. And
Children, please correct me if I'm wrong, children are taught in school something different, a different narrative than something that was taught 10 years ago. And then that whole culture sort of comes up, and now they're in the first, and second, and third year university. Is that a correct assumption? It's like I'm trying to figure out a new word, and maybe you guys are the academics, so maybe you can coin a new phrase for us because what's happening is Maoism, is it not?
Well, it's totalitarianism. So you have Hitler's youth, the Hitler youth, the same sort of
They
thing,
got
which
rid of the
is,
transgender. They got rid of the trans. They pushed
yeah,
that
but
Jewish
they
guy to the U.S., right? And then they put everyone, locked everyone up, and then re-educated them.
well, you have the control over the youth. So
Mm-hmm.
you have these organizations, these political organizations that educate the youth to be aligned with the totalitarian regime, and you get the children to inform on their parents and make their parents afraid.
The young generation in Canada have been brainwashed about all sorts of things, whether it's COVID or trucker convoy. It's recently this, this
Yeah.
idea that Canada is a genocidal state and we've treated our Indigenous people terribly. None of that's true. But what shocks me is that young people have lost the will to even
Just
fight.
open up, like,
Exactly.
just like, hello, someone listening. They've
Yeah,
shut
that's the
they've
important
shut
thing is that
themselves off to anything. That guy, when this guy assaulted us, when you protected me, the older
Logan
guy protects
Staats.
the younger guy, and I turned around and there's this kid. He must have been 22 years old. He had a full scarf on right to here, and then he had a toque on over top, and he had a piece of paper, and it had all this writing on it, and you could see the space between, and he was just screaming, and I was like, "This is mad." And then that lady with the megaphone, and it just blows me away to see what these kids are doing. It doesn't make any sense. But now that
It
I'm this
makes
young
sense
guy, I'm
because look
this,
at the messaging they get.
and like I
The,
said,
the University of Victoria is a great case study. It is just unbelievable the indoctrination that's going on that campus. UBC First Nations House of Learning there have been indoctrinating students and encouraging professors not to challenge things under fear that they will get pushed out and their union will not defend them. There's this huge deception that has been able to take place and be perpetrated. And this is the only way that we're going to be able to challenge this is by going in with these billboards.
Francis, what happened up in Kamloops? I mean, you've had these three of these things happen, right? So you've been the Winnipeg, the Kamloops, and the
Yep.
Victoria,
The
the
easiest
worst.
was surprisingly Thompson Rivers and Kamloops. The hardest was University of Winnipeg. Winnipeg was a complete breakdown of civilization, and the police did not come despite 6 people phoning the police. I was dealing with these 7 crybaby females who were haunting me endlessly, screaming in my face, shaking rattles. And then they decided they were going to remove me from campus and encircled me, 7 of them. University of Winnipeg was a frightening situation. And fortunately, all the men there didn't rise to the bait of what was going on, because if anyone had, lifted a fist or anything, there would have been a massive
It
brawl
would have
and
broken out.
someone would have got seriously hurt. But that
Yeah.
fortunately did not happen. Daniel got punched in the face,
So
but
so going
it
going
was a
to going to Winnipeg, I watched that video. Did you fall down on your back or sit down and then
sat
lay
down.
down, or did you actually get pushed? I,
No,
I think
no,
it was
I
you
sat
probably
down.
sat down and you were just like,
Yep.
stop, leave me alone. And I'm a man. I'm definitely a man. You're definitely a woman. What did that feel like to have these women over top of you, like screaming at you?
Yeah. They said I belonged underground.
I
They
heard
they were
that.
putting a shroud over me saying that I should be killed. But I find this very theatrical often. Like I sat down and then I lay down and I said, I'm gonna have a nap now, and you guys
Hmm.
calm down. Once you've stopped your tantrum, I will re-engage with you. But I realized that was probably a mistake because I could have got kicked in the head or something like
Yeah.
that. So fortunately that didn't happen. But these women were just completely unhinged, but they weren't, it still seemed to me to be sort of almost amusing. Like the assaults are especially for women is unlikely to happen. And that
It's
has not,
so.
well, I
It
got
was
a
just.
pop, I got pop poured on my head was the worst kind of treatment that I got.
Yeah.
But the men have serious problems because those gangsters, those thugs, will
Yeah.
go after the men who try to defend me. They, arrested me for nothing, just doing normal academic things, and then they allowed Logan Staats to
Who?
intimidate people, destroy property, and do all sorts of things like that, plus a whole bunch of other kind of horrible behavior that we saw. And I'm not sure if you've seen the letter that the president has sent out either yesterday or the day before. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. Where is it? Is it on like the
Oh,
website or?
Yeah, on the UVic website.
Yeah, let's look at
It's
that.
saying that they support academic freedom and open inquiry, and they're very proud of how all the students stood up and wore their orange shirts and supported all these values that they have.
Well, I think unfortunately, it's an unfortunate situation that this is going to take a few years.
Mm.
It's going
Oh
to take a
yeah,
few
it
years to
will.
like flip, and it will flip because
Well,
people
we can
like you,
hope it will.
Francis, it's going to flip people. It's going to flip because people like you, Francis, people like you, Jim, and people like One BC. Um, that's how it's going to flip. And a lot of people are asking a lot of questions now, especially from that movie that came out. I think it's been seen. Elon Musk
Mm.
retweeted that video.
Yep. Hmm.
Jimmy, you want to say something?
Well, I'm just so again delighted to be here with you both, and I'm just continue to be fixated on the idea that a university is meant to be a place where people go. This is from the ancient Greeks. The word university is a Greek word. The word education its roots are from educare and educare. These are Greek words and notions. The idea of intelligent, reasonable people share ideas. And to go into university with, again, someone who's a lead scholar and Francis on this very subject, and to watch uh, big police officers take her and put her into a cruiser and take her away. And then, as she just said, to watch Logan Staats and other completely wayward and lawless University of Victoria students intimidate and threaten, and watching you being hit, Andrew, and your camera knocked to the
And
ground.
Tim,
It's yeah,
talk about
unbelievable.
Tim.
Yeah,
He's Tim.
he's blind.
Timmy's. I've got Tim like this, and so I'm holding him. This is just after everything happened. Jim, I'm not sure exactly where you were, but I'm holding him, and the police officer is looking at me. He's knowingly Tim's got a disability with his vision, and he's like looking at me, waiting for me to say something. And there's four police officers around us. With I think there was one behind me, but I could see four. And there was about 200 people around us, all screaming with the person with the drum. And Tim's still trying to have a conversation because he can't see anyone. He's still trying to have a
Yeah.
and I'm like, the cop's like, can you get him to go? And I'm like, I said, Tim, we have to go. We have to start moving. And he's like, and I said, Tim, there's like 5 police around us, and there's about 200 people around them all screaming. He's like, yeah, I know, I can hear him. I'm like, okay, let's go. And we walked all the way down the street, and this whole mob followed us. And Jim was to my back corner right. You were watching my back. God bless you, brother. You're an amazing dude. You were watching my back. And that's when this kid came up, and this Logan Juno Award winning assaulter, Juno Award winning assaulting Mohawk dude. What happened in Kamloops when you went to Kamloops? This is your first time doing this. What did you think was going to happen, and how do you feel after what happened?
I never imagined at a university that the reception would be so incredibly resistant. I mean, there were maybe two in Kamloops. There were none at the Victoria 2 days ago. And but there's not a single, you would just assume that there'd be kids going up to you and saying, "Oh, well, you seem to know about this subject. I'd love to learn more." And that's what Francis's intention was. And from the very beginning, that Francis is wanting to do something called street epistemology, where she does this activity where it gets kids to examine their own views.
Mm-hmm.
That is gone. So if I have to leave with one thing allowed, it would be this: that university students are completely resistant. They've walled themselves over, so no idea can get in at them
Mm-hmm.
other than from what they've already heard in their silo. And it's a very dangerous thing when you've got a whole generation of Canadians, again, completely blinded to the fact that they've been lied to and manipulated, and they have become completely delusional about what Canada is, about their past,
Yes.
about who built Canada,
Yeah.
about how wonderful this
We all
country.
built it. We all built it together.
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
of us, natives, East Indians, everybody that was here built it. It was just,
They're taking a whole generation of children and making them like a Pied Piper who's leading children away, making them into I think, really delusional and crazed and militant, like Hitler's brown shirts or Mussolini's black
it
shirts.
was like Tim was explaining after after little Francis, I don't know if you watched my video, but when they drove you off, I said a couple of F-bombs to the police officers and basically said, I need to walk away, otherwise I'm going to get arrested. And when I said that, I wasn't thinking about doing anything but grabbing one of those coppers and throwing them like far. In UK, I just spent a good month in the UK. And just watching the police, it's two-tier. They're protecting the what they are told are the vulnerable. I mean, of course, it comes from the top down, but they're being told to protect the vulnerable and innocent. But the vulnerable and innocent, I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, are actually the kids that are being told an untruth. And the person that sort of expressed this to me was Tim, and he talked about Maoism. And I'm not an educated person by any means, and I'm sitting with two very educated people. And I came home and I was all proud, and I walked in, and my 18-year-old boy, he's got a developmental disability. He's an autistic boy. He's also a genius. I walked in and I'm like, "Yep, there was some Maoism over there in UVic," and he just looked at me like, how do you know that word? Because that's not something I'd know. But Tim explained it to me, and I guess it's the process in which people that are watching, next time they see you come onto campus, why are you coming onto the campus?
I'm coming onto the campus to get people to think about the evidence that they're using for their claims. And that's the key. And that's what universities used to be about. And the Kamloops case is very simple. We have a claim, which is the remains of 215 children have been confirmed at the Kamloops Indian Residential School. That was the claim that the Kamloops Indian Band made. And I'm amazed that people still support this claim. And because there is no evidence for
Yeah.
that claim.
Yeah. Dallas Brody mentioned me, the volunteer that got assaulted, in the legislative building, and there's David Eby saying, I don't care. You guys got what you deserved.
Immediately after the police marched Professor Widdowson off campus, a land back activist violently assaulted a 1BC volunteer, while others threw orange smoke bombs at our chief of staff, a man who is legally blind. A mob then descended into shrieks and beastly howls. It was like a display of demons. This is all on video, Mr. Speaker, and it's the true face of this decolonization movement. And this is what happens when our universities abandon the search for truth to instead breed violent left-wing mobs, just like Mao did during China's Cultural Revolution.
Member has a question.
Mr. Speaker, my question is for the Premier. Will he at least condemn this disgusting political violence and demand that UVic's president, Rabina Thomas, resign in disgrace?
Mr. Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I suspect the member got exactly what she wanted at the university, which was not a considered discussion, which was not a discussion of ideas.
Yep. Yeah, it's shocking. It's
He's
shocking.
in my riding. His office is like blocks from my house. I think I'm going to go get a billboard next week. I'm going to go pay $150 to go make a billboard. I'm going to say defund David Eby. And I'm going to have a petition. I'm going to sit there for 3 days from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'm just going to sit there and take names and see what happens. So the great thing was this guy assaulted me, goes to punch me, rips my camera out of my hand. He's wearing a mask, everything's all covered up. And the best part was when he was getting pulled away by the police. I'm like, come on, bro, what's up? You gonna hide your face, you in shame? So he like pulls his mask down and gives me the finger. But what the meathead didn't realize is his tattoos are everywhere. He just identified himself. And the kids today at university, they can't comprehend what is fact and fiction. They can't.
They don't know how to think.
So-
They don't know how to think. So that's the key, is it's not about believing what people tell you, which they seem to think is important to do with respect to the residential school, quote unquote, survivors.
Yeah.
It's about how do you determine if something is true or not, which they have no skills to be able to do because they've been so badly indoctrinated by these institutions.
It's
Yeah,
disgusting.
it's just,
Anyways, guys, thank you so
it's
much for being
unbelievable.
on. I
It's
appreciate you guys
unbelievable
so
what
much.
happened.
God bless. Okay, boom, we're done. You guys are awesome. That's going to take
It
a
was
while.
great seeing you.
If you're watching this and you're kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to come after those people next time they come onto campus. Listen, my friends, we're coming onto the campus. I'm coming onto the campus to document, but these two brave souls are coming onto the campus to have an open dialogue. That's all they want. They just want to have an open dialogue. Understand they're a bit older, understand they're in their ways, just like you're in your ways. But please just open your ears and have conversation. We don't need the fights. And when you're listening right now, the people that are with you that are like, whoa, 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 just ignore them. Come and talk to Frances. She's not a mean person. She's like, she's like under 5 foot tall. Just like, I can put her on like right here. She's like, hey, Frances, what's up? Jimmy, on the other hand, he's a big fella. God bless.